Hello everyone, hi, my name is Rick Cornwall and welcome to the channel. It is December the 24th, that's a Tuesday, 2024 at 12 o'clock noon. I hope you're going to have a good Christmas. I want to complete the story between Mega, Baby, White Wing, the dragons, and King and Kong, our friends the Bigfoots. In the last episode, we took Mega's world back for him. Now, White Wing was in charge of that world. Omega stayed on Earth. Right? I never questioned this because I wanted Mega near me anyways, and I was living in a house in a cave beside Carol's house. Now, um, one time, but 250 years have passed since we took back Mega's world. A long time in there, right? So, uh, Baby shrunk used to shrink down to this porcelain figure, and he would stay in Carol's home. Him and Carol were linked, right? But Baby could see, Mega could see that I was upset about this, that I wasn't seeing Baby as much as, and Mega sort of smiled because uh, 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 I loved Baby so, and Mega knew this, right? So one day, Mega calls me into his cave mentally, so I show up. Hi, Mega. What's up? He says, come over here, right? So he came over. I came over right up close. So I'm not afraid of this at all. He's my friend, right? He says, put your arm out. So I put my arm out like this, and he grabbed my arm, his whole paw. He only grabbed me with two fingers, right? But his whole paw covered my whole arm. And underneath these two fingers, it started to burn. Not really badly, but it was either hot or cold, one of the two. I couldn't tell the difference. And so I just looked up at him when it started, and he just smiled, and I just let him do what he wanted. He pulled his hand away, and I'm rubbing myself. I said, "Boy," I said, "that hurt, Bangman." He goes, "Yeah, but it's worth it," he says. I said, "Why? What's going on?" He says, "Lift your sleeve." So I lifted my sleeve, and this is what was on it. Look, it's a picture of Mega in his full glory. Right? Now, when I'm near Mega, this thing's starting to glow. So it was glowing. I'm standing right beside Mega, it's starting to glow, and I'm saying, "Is this going to glow all the time?" He says, "No, only when you're in front of me." I says, "What's the point of this?" He says, "This will let you live without coming back into me." Because I had to revert back into Mega every day and a half, it turned out to be, uh, and get recharged so I could live. But this uh, prevented me from having to do that. It also connected me with Baby mentally, Carol mentally, um, uh, White Wing, and Baby. So Carol, Baby, White Wing, they all don't know this is going on, right? When I come back to my house, which is right beside Carol's place, I could see Carol's place about 100 feet over. And Baby's there outside, and Carol's, doing something to him, taking care of him. She takes care of him like a baby, cleans him everything, right? Feeds him. So I'm about 100 feet away, and I say, okay, if I'm gonna be able to talk to him, I go, Carol. Carol goes, she doesn't know where this sound is coming from. I said, look over your right shoulder, and she sees me. I said, you can hear me, right? Her eyes open up, and she says, yeah. She goes like this. I said, say something. Don't say it in words, say it mentally. She goes, hi, Roy. I said, I can hear you, Carol. But the deal is that if you want to hear me, you got to say my word name first. And if I want to hear you, I got to say your name first. So we stay at each other's head type deal. So uh, Baby's there too. Because of this thing Mega gave me, the template on my arm, I said, Baby. Baby's doing the same thing. Where's this coming from? I said, I waved like this. I said, baby over here, with my mouth now. Baby over here, and baby turns to me. I shut my mouth. I said, hi, baby. And I'm going like this. And baby's confused. So she comes right up to me and looks me right in the eyes. And I'm talking to her. Him or her. Or I still haven't figured out whether a baby is a male or a female, right? But I'm saying to baby in my words, I said, just say in your head and we'll hear each other. So for the first time, I'm able to have this conversation with baby. And the first words out of my mouth was, I love you, baby. And Carol loves you. And you're amongst other dragons who love you. I just wanted you to let you know that he snuggled into me, put his nose into me and snuggled into me, and I hugged him and kissed. He was very happy that I had finally had this communication with him. So I said the same about White Wing. So apparently this worked with all the dragons. Now, I don't know if this works with the Bigfoot, right? But I know it works with the dragons, right? So I'm very happy about this. I'm wondering why all of a sudden now I'm getting this ability, really. Mega calls me back to the cave again. I go, what's up now, Mega? You're not gonna give me another? I call it a tattoo, right? It's not a tattoo. It's something different. He giggles. He says, no. He says, but I do want to give you this, and it's now I've got my cross on this, right? But he had like a string, and what he had was a scale from him on the end of this rope, and it was about 3 inches big. It was a pretty big scale. I said, couldn't you get one smaller? He says, that is the smallest one. Okay. Now, I never knew what this scale did. Megan never told me. I put it on and I said, thanks, Megan. I asked him, what's it for, what's it do? He says, you'll find out, he says. So I left. So the next day, White Wing comes to my door. She never knocks, right? White Wing is a girl, I think. I'm pretty sure. She's a pretty little thing, right? She comes to the door, and I can hear her landing with her wings, so she doesn't have to knock. She makes sort of a thump on the ground. I come out, and I can now I'm communicating with White Wing. Mega wants to see you. It's a bit of a hop to see Mega, so I hop on White Wing and we fly in, right? Carol's already there, and I show up. Mega says, I called both of you here because you were instrumental in getting our planet back for us. But we have one more problem to cure. What is that, Mega? I know this is serious. I walk 3 or 4 steps right up to Mega. What's going on? Tell me. He says, Bigfoot come from the neighboring world beside the dragons. And their planet was taken over by the griffins and there was a couple of other races there. This planet was really infested by a lot of bad demons and stuff, right? The dogmen and the griffins. Basically, there were other smaller types, but like dogs and it looked like a dog, but they weren't a dog. They were vicious, right? So Megan takes us down to the cave, and the cave opens up onto the Bigfoot's world, and this place is infested with life, with all the bad guys. I said to Meg, I said, this is the Bigfoot's world? Megan says, yeah. He says, I said, well, why are you telling me now? They outnumber us 2 to 1, 3 to 1. We can't do anything about this now. Megan says, well, there's another war happening on the outside of that. And good factions are fighting against these people. So I wanted your opinion. Do you think it's a good time to attack from this side? And we'll attack from 2 fronts? I said, Mega, is this the only world there is that's left to conquer? He says, yes. He says, we conquer them here, they got to go back to their galaxy, and we can defend this galaxy quite easily from them. They snuck in last time, they won't do that this time. So I said to Mega, I said, well, uh, with the dragons and the Bigfoot, how many of them are there? Like, give me a balance. He says about 3 to 1, right? I said, now add the humans in, because we can get a whole pile of humans. And he says it's still about 3.5 to 1. It's about 2.5 to 1 now. He says, but he says that other faction on the other side is fighting this way. And that makes our fighting forces about even, he says. I see an opportunity, Mega says, but I want to hear your both of your opinions on this. So this is the first Carol and I heard about Bigfoot world being overrun like that. Carol says, she says, Carol's mad now. Right? The Bigfoot were her friends too, right? And Carol just looked at me. Now I know, okay. When Carol looks at me like that, right, I just take a step back. I say, okay, Carol, what do you want to do? I left up to Carol. Carol says, we're going to get this world back for them. Come hell or high water. And I never seen Mega smile like that before, but he smiled. Big smile. And he put his wings, I remember, he put one ring around Carol, one ring around me, and pulled us in. He was talking to us. He says, we've never had better friends than you guys, he says. I said, Mega, I said, our world is replete with people like me. You've got to give them a chance. Mega. So, I said to Mega, I said, it sounds like this is going to be just about even, their forces against ours, you know. I said, I'd like a little bit more of an advantage than that. I said, right away I pulled my phone out, I called my buddy in the middle. It was actually not my buddy, but it was my buddy's factions that he left in place for 250 years later. They're still in place and operational, so I give him a call. And he says, well, you know, you could have called before now. This is 250 years later. I said, yeah, but I need your help. I said, the dragons are in trouble again, and we got to take back the Bigfoot's world. He says, I said, get back to me how many people, how much you can give us support on this, if you want to even give us support, right? So he calls me back. He says, bring Mega, right? Just Mega. He says, just bring Mega. It'll be okay. Nothing will happen. Bring Mega to this spot, and he sends me a GPS coordinates, right? Okay. So I get on Mega's back, and I said, Mega, we got to leave. Mega doesn't like leaving this cave except to go to our planet. But I said, we have to do this, Mega. He says, okay. So we didn't go out through the normal way that we know. Poof, and I'm outside with Mega. Don't forget, he's a very magical being, this dragon. So we're flying, and it's a beautiful sunny day. And the coordinates were getting closer, and all of a sudden I see all these people. Like 2 million people all got together. And there's like a stage there. And I said, Mega, that's where they want you to land, right there. So he comes down and lands, poof, right on the stage, and all the people in the crowd went, oh, you know, like they were told he's friendly, but still, you see Mega is, I don't care who you are, you're going to be afraid, right? So there were some microphones there and stuff, and the colonel gets up and he says, these are our friends. They are our friends. We've already fought side by side with these beings before, and they're in trouble now. We need to get the Bigfoot's planet back for them. Just like we got the dragon planet back for them. Half these people in the crowd never heard of this. But we went to war, we got the dragon's planet back for them, and now we got to do the same for the Bigfoot. Meanwhile, Mega's just sitting there with his wings tucked in, and not really trying to be scary, right? And so the colonel, actually he was a four-star general. He was talking to the masses before Mega showed up, so they were completely tuned in, right? So Mega lands, right, and we give the numbers and everything, we say that if we can get like 500,000 humans to help us, we'll win this battle, right? And I said to them, I said, "Will you help us?" And Mega looked up like this, right? Looked at everybody, and the crowd went nuts. Yeah, yeah, we're gonna, you know. So Mega just stood up. He was so excited. He stood up, unfolded his wings like this, and pointed his head in the air. Now, don't forget, he has two ways of shooting flames out of his mouth. One is just natural gas where it goes out and poofs, it's evaporated. But the other is like napalm, like a liquid, where you can squirt it when he spits, right? So, and the flame coming out was the gas, right? It lit up everything. The flames were so bright, right? And the crowd sort of hushed down, but when he stopped, the crowd went nuts again because now they could see the power of these things, right? So I said, Mega, go back. And the general and I are going to spend 2 days here and talk about this. So um, this this got into the newspapers and the radio. The whole world knew about the dragons and the Bigfoot now, right? This is 250 years from now, so people are more smarter. They were aware of the Bigfoot even before they found out that the dragons were alive, right? So this is what happened. The same thing as the first battle. Mega flew over and scooped up all of their people and all of their military stuff, and next thing you know, they're in the cave right in front of the portal. Mega goes through the portal and poof, all of a sudden all these things are laid out: cannons, tanks, helicopters, military, uh, uh, ammunition depots. All that stuff was just laid out, right? And the war was on now because the other side can see what's going on. The dragons flew through that tunnel like bats out of a cave, right? And then underneath that, the Bigfoots were running out. Now, if you've ever seen a Bigfoot, let me explain this to you. A Bigfoot is like 12 feet tall, right? It takes steps when he's running of about 12, 14 feet when he's running. And he can take each step like this. So translate that into the speed. These things are super faster than the horse, I think. And they were coming out the bottom of that cave underneath the dragons, right? The wind was blowing through there from all this. And after that, he actually went back into the cave to do this, to get everybody out. But then after everybody was out, he came back out behind them all. And this battle was raging. This was not a battle like we did on the Dragon's World. This was mostly on the ground and hand to hand. There were a Marine division where the Marines would get on the back of a Bigfoot. They would stay on the ground and run, right? But when you put a Marine on the back of a Bigfoot, there was a saddle that went around the Bigfoot on the shoulder, right? And there were rocket launchers stuck in this thing, grenades, a pocket of grenades there. He had a rifle stuck to his back and two pistols on his. He was ready for action, this guy. And what he would do is he would, the Bigfoot would just charge in and he'd be, okay. I forgot something. During this 250 years, King and Kong, I have friends, and one of them is a machinist, and he made an axe for King, and he made like a hammer for Kong, and they were huge. They were like, I think it was about 6 feet tall. There was a handle on this thing. I couldn't lift it by myself. But when we gave it to King and Kong, they walked up with one hand and picked it up. King was smiling. There used to be a big 3-foot log we used to sit on around the campfire. He took this thing and clobbered it and cut it right clean in half, and he smiled. So we handed the hammer to Kong because King's always getting everything. Kong gets nothing. Kong smiled, and Kong did the same thing like this. I said, yeah. So they're on this planet with these weapons, right? Yeah, all the other Bigfoot had a marine on their back. And they had some kind of a weapon in their hand, but they were not like this. I want to show you the axe that we gave King, okay? And there it is. Right? It was a pick on one end and a very sharp axe on the other end. Now, this battle is, you could see their reinforcements coming, right? But we were there in force now. We were about 2 million beings there. You counted us all up, 2 million about. So there was a lot of us. Omega and King, right, stood beside each other. King's got the sword up like this, and Mega's letting them get pieces. And they just charged in there. There were there were dogmen flying everywhere, right? And I'm having a brain lock. But the guys that fly, what do you call them? They were taken care of by the dragons, and each dragon had a marine on his back, right? So this wasn't just fighting on the ground. There were poofs of red stuff in the sky where a marine would hit them with a rocket launcher and just explode them, right? So there were times this battle went both ways, right? And one time it was starting to come our way, and we could feel it's a pretty strong wave. And we're wondering why this one wave is different than the others. It's because the good faction on the outside was pushing them towards us. Once we realized that they were losing that battle and they were coming our way, we put it on even more. The battle ended between us meeting this other faction. This other faction was just, they're a funny kind of a race. They were about 5 feet tall. They were human-like, but they weren't human, and they didn't speak human. And once they met the humans, they were smiling. Because all they ever met was like weird animals and stuff, right? But to see another human, so we made friends with them, they made friends with us. Now, Mega did something spectacular. He stood up on this. It wasn't a mountain, but it was a very big hill. And where he stood there, everybody could see him all around her. And to get everybody's attention, he shot his flames in the air and opened his wings. That got everybody's attention. Everybody's looking at him now, right? All of a sudden, he looks down, and you can hear him going like this. And this white bubble started coming out of him. And it got bigger and bigger until it encompassed the whole planet. And when it encompassed the whole planet, it turned it into green grass, luscious trees, deer, food like there was for the Bigfoot before, clean water, clean skies. It was almost like this battle's not taking place. All the bad guys had left. I said to Meg, why aren't you doing this for your world? He says, I just learned how to do it. He says, I'll do it for mine. Give me a chance. So the humans, well, they are ferocious. Now, the fight's all over, and everybody's surrounding this hill that Mega's on, and King is standing right beside, King and Kong are standing right beside Mega and Baby, right? And Mega is telepathy talking to everybody. And he gives everybody there a little, it's a little piece of a scale on a string, and he handed them all out as the people went over. They passed them out as they went. And he says, if you're on your world and you get into trouble, you squeeze that and you call for me, Mega. and I'll either send a dragon your way or I'll come myself. But you've helped us take back 2 worlds now, and we owe you. And this is how we can refund our payment to you. So the humans, they thought that was great. No, they really did. They cheered that. So comes time to leave, Mega scoops all the humans back and takes them back, plunks them in the parking lot. Now, a lot of them are injured. So the medical people were there waiting, right? And Mega goes back to the Earth, and he tells all his dragons. He says, scoop up all the Bigfoot, and he didn't say some of them. He said all of them, and they did, and they took them out to their world through the portal. Right? Now, there not all the Bigfoot left. There were still a couple left here on Earth. I don't know why they did that, but there was a couple of nice Bigfoot that stayed on Earth, and one of them was King and Kong. 2 of them, like. So the dragons, they had their world. The Bigfoot, they had their world. The humans were protected by these other 2 worlds like an alliance. I said to Mega, I said, you know, the more friends you make like this, the more security you have. Mega says, what security? I said, protection. From things going wrong. So, I prayed to Mega. I said, Mega, I hope we don't have to do this again. You know, I hope we don't have to do this again. The one standout in that battle was when Carol jumped off Omega's back, and she was fighting a bunch of them. And when she did that, Omega was swarmed by a whole pile of dogmen. Right? Carol got mad. She started glowing red. And she just let him have it with this sword. Now, the sword couldn't hurt Mega. It couldn't hurt me. It couldn't hurt Carol. But anything else that was pointed at would evaporate. She just blasted about 1,000 of these dogmen off of Mega. And off of Baby. And Baby looked up and turned and looked at her and smiled. And Carol was mad. Carol's not a killing person. She's a loving, honorable, loving girl. But when this kind of skullduggery happens, Carol turns into a nut. I guess she gets it because she's a Canadian, and look what we did in the First World War. We got mad, and that's what Carol did. So the end result is Carol and I are back in our homes, right? And Mega's in his cave. He's going to guard his world with these portals. And see both worlds. He says, I can do it better from here. And he goes and visits his people all the time. Yeah, so does Carol, and so do I. But Mega also visits the Bigfoot world. They're loyal people with each other, these guys. They love each other. King actually went up and gave Mega a big hug. Mega leaned down, and Mega just, you know, and Kong was there trying to hug her too, him too. So everything was fine. Earth was good. Mega's world was fine. Baby's world was fine. And I'll tell you right now, King and Kong sure like that hammer and mace and the axe that I gave them. They just loved that. When I showed it to them, I took the blanket off and I showed it to them, and he picked it up, and I should go like this with it. And he broke that law. He just smiled. He got it. Right? This ensures that he's going to be the boss of the Bigfoots forever. And I'm ensuring that because he's got the right mentality for that. So Carol and I we're tending to our gardens, and we're having just a great time because we're no more fighting, right? We visit our people back at the house when they have their bonfire on Friday nights. We would go there. And one Friday night we're there, and everybody showed up. I mean, there must have been 200 Bigfoot and about 200 dragons there. The place was jammed, right? And all the people that lived in the houses, they were already told about what was going to happen, right? So they didn't expect that kind of result, but everybody there was patting and getting along with the people. These dragons and Bigfoots knew they were welcome on this site. There was food there and love for them and medical care for them there. So, yeah, I, uh, I'm so impressed and so blessed to be part of this. And right now I'm sitting in my little house in the cave, and Carol is sitting in her house, looks very much like this, next over about 100 feet, and she has baby with her. Now, I'm talking to baby regularly, and so I don't really miss him. And every once in a while he sneaks out, he comes over, he gives me kisses, and then Carol calls him here in the back. So, you know, I could have had any dragon I wanted, but baby was my baby. So, that's the mystical tale of how dragons and Bigfoots existed on Earth and why we don't see too many of them now. Because they all retreated back to their planet. And our black projects know exactly where that planet is. And if they call, we're going to come running. They're going to come running. So everything is really calmed down to the point where fighting doesn't even come into it anymore. But Mega sure was. He, and so was King. I mean, King and Kong couldn't believe what we were doing for them there. There was. It's almost like getting a dog out of the pound. He's so grateful, right? So I want to leave it at that. And Carol, I'm sorry for telling him that you're the girl in the story, but uh, c'est la vie. I want everybody to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and share with this channel to your children and other people. It's okay for kids. Um, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas again, a Happy New Year, and may God bless. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.